Hello, I'm Willie Chiang, and I'm privileged to be the chair of the board of the trustees for the United Way of Greater Houston. I'm pleased to welcome you to the United Way of Greater Houston's 2024 Single Investment Process Funding Conference. For over 100 years, we've been working in the Greater Houston region, bringing people together and funding diverse partners and approaches to address very complex challenges that are holding too many of our neighbors back from achieving their goals. During the last funding conference, you heard us refer to Second Century Vision as our new strategic vision for the organization. As we fast forward to today, it is simply called the work that we do. We hope today's program will offer more insight to you, our nonprofit partners, and how we plan to show up differently, not only for our community, but also for you as potential partners. Specifically, we want to more deeply collaborate with funded programs to weave together a network of services to support families and individuals to not only land on their feet, but to stay there. We believe that when we all work together with intention and transparency, we can collectively strengthen the network of services in our region to ensure that families and individuals can achieve financial stability and strong, sustainable futures. We look forward to working together to lift up our neighbors and our community. Enjoy the conference.
I'm Amanda McMillian, President and CEO of United Way of Greater Houston. I'm delighted to be with you all today and to welcome you to United Way of Greater Houston's funding conference for the Single Investment Process, formerly known as Second Century Vision. As you can see, we have a full agenda today, which United Way staff representing a cross-section of our organization will lead. They're going to lead us through the funding process. Here's what we're going to cover today. We'll talk about an overview of changes to the integrated client journey. We'll do an overview of the single investment process. We'll do an overview of the application. And then we'll end today's conference with a question and answer panel to answer any outstanding questions you all may have. We have muted mics and the chat feature today, so please submit your questions in the Q&A box throughout the conference. United Way staff will be collecting and organizing your questions in advance of the Q&A panel. I recognize that we have many participants on this call in a limited amount of time, so please know that if we don't get to your question today, we will be updating our 2024 Single Investment Process question log, and we have technical assistance sessions scheduled this month from February through April of this year to help answer any additional questions you or your agency might have. Before we get into the details of the single investment process, I want to highlight two important cornerstones of United Way, our mission and our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. First, I want to acknowledge the United Way mission because it's key to our work. Our mission at United Way is to work together to improve lives, build a stronger community, and create meaningful opportunities for people to prosper. At United Way, our vision is to unite people and partners to ensure that our neighbors struggling to make ends meet not only land on their feet, but stay there. And our funded partners are absolutely central to this work. At United Way, we have a strong foundation of supporting communities of color, but more strategic, intentional work is needed to remove systemic barriers to success that so many in our community continue to face today. We build on this foundation every day as we lead with our values, work in and with our communities, and hold ourselves accountable for real change and true opportunity for all. We stand united with our community to fight for opportunity and equity and commit ourselves to continue to listen, learn, and ensure that United Way of Greater Houston fulfills the promise of our mission to improve lives, build a stronger community, and create meaningful opportunities for people to prosper. The United Way Network strives to engage community members, especially those whose voices have traditionally been marginalized. We work with residents and public and private partners to co-create solutions that ensure everyone has the resources, supports, opportunities, and networks they need to thrive. We commit to leveraging all of our assets, whether that's convening, strategic investments, awareness building, or advocacy to create more equitable communities. As a funder, we will continue our commitments to be inclusive of community voice, lift up organizations who lead the way in reflecting the communities they serve, provide ongoing staff and volunteer training to ensure we are culturally competent and reduce bias in our work, and use data-driven investments and funding formulas. We believe approaching our strategy and investments with a focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging will strengthen our impact and help us create a community where everyone can thrive. We are committed to creating opportunity for individuals and families in the greater Houston community to thrive by leading, serving, influencing, and convening the nonprofit social services sector to deliver quality services with exceptional outcomes. When we say thrive, we mean that individuals and families attain sustainable quality of living through access to an integrated journey-based experience. And these are the key principles of that strategy. In terms of the who, we are focused specifically on serving individuals and families who are struggling to make ends meet. We know from our 2021 data that 14% of households across Greater Houston are living on wages below the federal poverty threshold. And we know that another 31% of households are working hard but can't afford the basic necessities of life. Obviously, this number does not yet take into account the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we anticipate that some of these numbers will increase. For more information on ALICE, which stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed, and is a way of identifying individuals who earn more than a poverty level but not enough to make ends meet, please visit our website for more information. In terms of the what, our strategy aims to provide families the opportunity to attain a sustainable quality of living through the following: services which include financial stability services, early childhood and youth development, healthcare, legal services, all supported by safety net services that help people take care of their basic and immediate needs, like food, shelter, clothing, and other short-term critical needs for individuals experiencing a crisis. In terms of the where, our region of focus has not changed. We still serve the 4-county Greater Houston area, which includes Fort Bend, Harris, Montgomery, and Waller counties. With respect to the how, the single investment process represents transformational change to how we approach our work, including an integrated approach to service delivery and a coaching framework. Thank you all so much for your attention. Next, you are all going to hear from Margaret Oser, our Vice President of Mission and Strategy.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm Margaret Oser, Vice President of Mission and Strategy here at United Way of Greater Houston. We are excited to share more about what we are looking for in partners to support the integrated client journey in the community, along with upcoming changes we are making to our approach. Over the past 2 years, we've learned a lot. The integrated client journey, or ICJ, allows a client to create their own customized pathway based on their goals and needs. Rather than working separately to address individual needs, programs are orchestrated to make it easy for clients to engage across services as needed, breaking down barriers and helping ensure clients can be successful. Collaboration is key when working within the ICJ, as the challenges our neighbors face are interconnected and the solution should be too. We learned that we need nonprofit partners who are committed to meeting clients where they are along their journey from a strength-based, client-centered approach, are willing to collaborate with others, and share data so that clients can enter services at any point. We know that some journeys will include a navigator who engages with clients to help them articulate their goals and connect to the services needed to achieve them. A client on the journey is defined by either A, working with a navigator of the ICJ, or B, receiving 2 or more integrated and/or safety net services. Today, you'll learn more about the data-driven changes that we've made to the ICJ programs and our regional model to ensure that we have all components of the ICJ across Fort Bend, Harris, Montgomery, and Waller counties. Now I'll pass it over to Sidney, Senior Manager of Financial Stability, to share more about our funded partner values and expectations.
Thank you, Margaret. What are the values that United Way of Greater Houston looks for in great partnership? I am so glad you asked. We seek to partner with organizations that actively engage in the integrated client journey, also referred to as the ICJ, which is a network of partner organizations united to support individuals and families currently experiencing ALICE on the road to financial stability. Within the integrated client journey, we value building partnerships that demonstrate these 5 qualities. Number 1, commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Actively engaging in all components within the DEIB, while committing to ensure that individuals served are being treated fairly and equitably. Second, the engagement within the ICJ. We ask that all levels of the organization are committed to actively engaging in the ICJ and communicate across the organization to ensure the vision of Greater Houston commits to open and transparent communication with partner organizations. Second, collaborative. We are so much better together, and it is important to recognize that no agency can do this work alone. Building intentional collaboration across the network is a key part of this work. We believe that our community investments are so much more than dollars granted. We invest in partnerships of shared success and shared learning. Then there's a coaching mindset. This is a strength-based approach that says that our clients are the experts of their own lives and that we recognize that they're naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. And then there's the continuous quality improvement, also known as CQI. And this is the ability to utilize data to make programmatic improvements and changes. This requires commitment to tracking data and reporting outcomes. United Way will provide support to organizations that may not have robust systems in place, but seek to partner and they're willing to commit to improving systems, engaging in learning opportunities, and communicating their value. Now that we have discussed values, let's explore the funded partner expectations. If funding is awarded to your organization, you must agree to serve, collaborate, engage, and participate. Agree to serve individuals and families experiencing ALICE or living below the poverty level. Collaborate and engage with nonprofit social service organizations convened by the Integrated Client Journey by United Way of Greater Houston. Engage as an active partner within the ICJ by recommending individuals to work with a navigator and accepting referrals from navigators for funded programs and services. Participate in ICJ data collaboration efforts by accepting referrals and sharing data with collaborating organizations with the ICJ technology tool. Participate in agency partner collaborative convenings with the purpose of sharing successes, challenges, and documenting best practices. To bolster engagement and optimize collaboration across the ICJ, if funded in financial stability, participate in Thrive collaborative convenings and coaching networks. If funded in youth development, participate in Out to Learn meetings and quality improvement processes known as the Youth Program Quality Intervention or YPQI. Lastly, submit timely program and financial quarterly reports and adhere to standards and policies for funded partners. To learn more about our funded partner values and expectations, please reference our funded partner standards and policies on our webpage under How We Invest. Thank you. Next, you'll hear from Krystal Perez on our regional approach.
Thank you, Schirell. My name is Krystal Perez, and I serve as Manager of Youth Development. At the onset of the first single investment process, we had established 13 priority regions for investments. The regions were identified across our 4-county service area based on density of households experiencing ALICE and federal poverty level, and density of BIPOC, Black, Indigenous persons of color, as recognition of historically disproportionately impacted populations based on American Community Survey. Based on the 2021 ALICE data and regional analysis from the first year of implementation for the Integrated Client Journey, United Way has made small changes to the regional model composition for the 2024 single investment process, moving from 13 priority regions to 12 regions. The regions for investment cover 8 regions within Harris County, 2 regions within Fort Bend County, 1 region within Montgomery County, and 1 region within Waller County. Additionally, rather than referring to regions as numbers, they will be referred to by their geographic location. We are excited for these changes, and we hope they will better reflect the communities we serve. As a note, the changes to the regional model will go into effect on April 1st, 2025, at the onset of the next 3-year funding cycle. I'd like to also talk about how we identify and serve ALICE. As a reminder, ALICE stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. If funded, it will be expected that you will primarily serve individuals and families experiencing ALICE and living below the federal poverty level as part of your funded programs. Here are some more details on how you will be expected to identify and serve Alice. First, income will be assessed at the time of intake or entry, as we understand that someone's income may go up while they are on a program, and it will only be required to be self-reported. You will be tracking gross income before taxes along these income brackets on the screen as set forth by the Kinder Houston Area Survey. We define a household as all adults and children that are living together and hope that this recognizes that a household makeup or how someone defines a family can look a lot of different ways, and therefore their survival budget changes based on that household makeup. We ask that you primarily focus on Alice and the programs you are applying for, and that this will be part of the evaluation process to determine funding for your program. However, we will continue to work with funded partners to take a client-centered approach to this data collection. We would never want you to limit someone from receiving services if they are close to the Alice threshold or have unique needs or circumstances. If funded, more support and even further details on how to track income will be provided, and we will work together to develop best practices on how to have a conversation with an individual to best capture this information. Thank you. Next, you will all hear from Ms. Erin Clocksin.
Thank you, Krystal. My name is Erin Clocksin, and my role at United Way is Manager of the Integrated Client Journey, or ICJ. I am here today to share with y'all the services that will be eligible for funding during the next single investment process. All future funding will be invested within 3 categories across the Integrated Client Journey, or ICJ. Those include safety net services, so those are basic needs and short-term crisis services, integrated services, which includes financial stability, early childhood and youth development, healthcare services, and legal services, and finally, navigators serving along the integrated client journey. Navigation will be a closed by invitation process because of the last 2.5 years that we have spent building this work together to ensure its stability for the clients within the system already. Changes to the system will be based on data and resources available. On the right of your slide, you do see an example of the client's experience on the integrated client journey. We know that clients enter the ICJ at many different points. Everything is client-driven and meant to meet the individual needs of clients. In this situation, a client presented with a goal to focus on accessing mental health counseling. Through additional conversations, it was identified that there was an additional need for food in their household. Once they achieved their goal regarding mental health counseling and got access to food, they further identified that they wanted to access career coaching to get a better job that provided a higher wage for their family. Through that career counseling, they identified an opportunity to participate in a computer training program. Once they finished that computer training program, they were ready to go on interviews with the support of transportation assistance through the ICJ. The goals surrounding their career and employment were achieved, and that individual was able to think to the next things in life, such as high-quality free tax preparation services, and also addressing their physical health through a healthcare clinic. And finally, they are also able to find an out-of-school time program for their child as the summer break approached. Again, this is just one example of a client's trajectory through their integrated client journey to provide some additional context for some of the services that are needed to help clients achieve their individual goals. United Way of Greater Houston has invested in the integrated client journey to allow clients to create their own customized pathway based on their goals and needs, as illustrated by this example we just talked through. Rather than working separately to address individual needs, programs are orchestrated to make it easier for clients to engage across services as needed, allowing us to break down barriers and help ensure that clients can be successful. Funded partners provide programs that address clients' varying needs as they move through their journey. On the next slide, we'll talk more about some of the examples of the services that United Way will invest in through the integrated client journey in greater detail. As we previously mentioned, the 3 program categories for investment along the integrated client journey, or ICJ, include safety net programs, integrated programs, and navigation in order to benefit individuals and families experiencing ALICE and living below the federal poverty level. In the table here, you can view examples of services that United Way of Greater Houston is interested in investing in as part of the ICJ. First, we'll talk about the safety net services. And so these are foundational services that help individuals who are facing unexpected challenges and have the opportunity to thrive, including basic need services to ensure that those who need it can meet their temporary, immediate life-sustaining needs. These services are critical, especially during those transitions from jobs or housing, allowing us to help put Alice on the path towards longer-term stability while covering costs that often keep Alice from falling into a crisis situation again. Moving on to integrated services, these are programs that collaborate within a coaching framework to address multi-layered goals for the individual and whole family to achieve financial stability. Integrated services are organized into financial stability, early childhood and youth development, health/behavioral health care, and legal services. Financial stability programs are critical to helping Alice earn sufficient income, develop responsible financial habits, meet regular expenses, and also set aside funds for emergencies and future goals that they have. In addition, early childhood programs serve two main purposes in helping Alice achieve stability. Those are, of course, workforce stability and preparing kids for school. Youth development programs assist youth in grades K through 12 that support and encourage social and emotional development, academic success, and exposure to other opportunities as well. Early childhood and youth development programs are rooted in supporting adult caregivers being able to maintain employment while providing a quality program experience for kids to achieve their full potential. Going into healthcare programs, those programs are focused on helping Alice become or remain able to fully engage in their career and life. Those services work with Alice to improve their physical health, access preventative care, resolve individual or family mental health issues, and substance use disorders. Family can encompass household, extended family, or chosen family unit. All healthcare services should have the capacity to accept referrals from navigators working with clients who are enrolled in the ICJ. Additionally, legal service programs help Alice in exercising their constitutional rights. This includes general legal services, including advocacy on behalf of someone else to support, but not limited to, eviction process/representation, expungement, family law, immigration rights, etc. And then finally, navigators. In the 2024 single investment process, the application for agencies applying to house a navigation team is by invitation only. This decision was made in order to ensure consistency across the network as we spent considerable time onboarding and training the network in 2021 and 2022. Future invitations to participate as a navigation agency will be dependent on the data, gaps, and performance. So with all that information being shared, some additional things to consider. United Way aims to invest in building capacity in human-centered programming along the ICJ versus population-centered programming. Instead of applying for funding based on the population you serve, consider applying for the types of programs you provide that benefit your clients by not carving out vulnerable populations, but rather focus on people's needs, not as individuals, but as with complex, deep-rooted issues where anyone is viewed as creative, whole, and resourceful, capable of achieving their goals. Additionally, individuals and families are most successful when they receive bundled services to help them achieve their goals and address the needs that they have in their life. Bundled services are services from program areas of the ICJ that, when combined, help ensure that an unaddressed issue does not undermine a family's overall success. Bundling also eases the family's access to services like eliminating barriers such as time and transportation. By providing families with bundled services and access to multiple services, we can increase their likelihood of achieving financial stability. We do recognize that not every agency will have the resources to provide every service a family might need along their journey. This is why we highly encourage collaboration with other partner agencies in order to provide bundled services that span programs and services of the ICJ as needed. We do suggest that agencies highlight their ability to deliver a bundled model to clients in their funding requests. At this point, I'll turn it over to Lindsey Hill to share additional information with y'all.
Thank you, Erin. Hello. My name is Lindsey Hill, and I'm a Director of Strategic Initiatives at United Way of Greater Houston. And today I will be providing you with an overview of the 2024 single investment process. Funding will be awarded for up to a 3-year commitment as results-based, flexible funding, and is subject to performance and available revenue annually throughout the funding cycle. This means we won't be prescriptive in how you spend the investment dollars, and you will have flexibility in that, but we'll have to show impact for the programs you are applying for. Our investment strategy includes first determining how much each region will receive based on the annual community campaign, and then second, determining how much we will be invested along the integrated client journey program components within the region. For agencies that are awarded funding, please remember that we cannot guarantee set funding for the duration of the grant period, as y'all have no doubt experienced. Giving can shift based on a variety of factors. In those situations, we may need to adjust investments on an annual basis throughout the grant period. Now, to address one topic that we are asked about frequently, minimum and maximum funding amounts. It has been determined that funding amounts will be generally between $100,000 to $2 million. This is dependent on the agency's budget size and scope of work. The following are eligibility and requirements for funding. Your agency must be a 501c3 for at least 3 years. Primarily serves and focuses on those experiencing ALICE, which means asset limited, income constrained, employed, or living below the poverty line. Services are offered within the 4-county region of Fort Bend, Harris, Montgomery, and Waller counties. Provide a service that meets United Way's definitions of services. Complete organizational review, which assesses organizational health related to financial health and governance strength. Fully committed to the values of partnership that include commitment to DEIB, engagement with the ICJ, be collaborative, have a coaching mindset, and continuous quality improvement. For more information, please refer to our funding announcement that includes a definition section for common terms. We want the full suite of integrated client journey services in each region. Maximum funding amount would not be awarded to a single agency in one region. Use the interactive regional map to determine how much to request. This resource is located on the United Way webpage under How We Invest. Investments per region will be based upon households experiencing ALICE and living below federal poverty level, BIPOC, and additional service needs data. Impact should match funding requests. Requests must be intentional, not a dream list. $2 million awards will be the exception, not the rule. The application should reflect an annual 1-year request. We will discuss adjustments to funding requests during the process as appropriate. Today marks the beginning of our single investment process. Over the next few months, we'll offer technical assistance to support applicants with submitting their application. We'll share more on that towards the end of the funding conference. The application is due April 18th, 2024 at 8 p.m. As this is an open and competitive process, we will not accept applications after the due date. We anticipate making funding notifications in December of 2024, with onboarding and new funding in 2025. I'll pass it over to Jessica Davison to share more about the application process.
Thank you, Lindsey. If we haven't met before, my name is Jessica Davison, and I'm the Senior Director of Mission and Strategy. I'm going to share a little more about the single investment process and walk you through the application components. On the slide, you will see the timeline for the application process. The application goes live today. As Lindsey mentioned, the last day to submit your application is April 18th at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Late applications will not be accepted. Because applications are submitted online, we urge applicants to submit earlier than the deadline in case there are any connectivity issues or help is needed. Once the application is submitted, reviewers that include United Way staff and community volunteers will begin screening the applications to determine whether they meet the minimal standards and align with our values and approach. Simultaneously, we will have organizational review volunteers reviewing the governance and financial health of the agency to determine their risk level, which will be factored into the overall evaluation. This is all known as Phase 1. By the end of June, applications that meet the Phase 1 qualifications will receive a notification that their application is moving forward into Phase 2. Applications that do not meet the phase qualifications will receive notifications that they will not be moving forward. Due to the volume of proposals we expect to receive, these decisions are final. However, if not funded, your organization may still reapply for future funding opportunities with United Way. Those applications that are cleared to proceed into Phase 2 will undergo further review and agency interviews. All new applicants that advance to Phase 2 will have an agency interview as part of their review and deliberation process. Returning applicants that advance to Phase 2 will advance directly into the deliberation stage with agency interviews at the discretion of the reviewers. We will then make a final funding decision based upon information gathered and reviewed. Applications that advance to Phase 2 will be evaluated based on the funded partner values that Schirell described earlier: commitment to DEIB, engagement with the ICJ, collaboration, coaching mindset, and continuous quality improvement. We expect to make notification of funding in December of 2024. We will then devote January through March of 2025 to helping organizations prepare to begin delivering services as part of the integrated client journey. Funding and services will begin April 1, 2025. The application includes two components: application questions and organizational review. As part of your application process, all returning and new applicants will have a series of application questions that will allow you to not only explain who you are as an organization, but also provide details regarding your desire to partner and collaborate to support the integrated client journey, and discuss the basis of your funding request. We encourage you to review the application in its entirety with various members of your team so that your agency's work and plans are communicated in a thorough but concise way. Now, let's briefly review the application. It's divided into 3 sections: agency, program, composition. The agency section provides an opportunity for your organization to introduce itself and help the reviewers understand your ongoing efforts to incorporate diversity, equity, inclusion, and/or belonging into its policy, practices, and direct service. We also provide space to explain your agency's approach to working with clients along the integrated journey. With CQI still being a major component of United Way's work, reviewers want to know about your CQI culture and how you use data to inform your work. The program section provides an opportunity for reviewers to better understand the following: regions you intend to serve, services you intend to offer, projection of clients to serve, and history of serving clients, and your funded request. The funding amount should reflect a 1-year request. The composition section provides an opportunity to share the current characteristics and demographics of your highest executive leader, your board of directors, and agency staff. In addition, all new applicants will undergo a review of your agency's governance and financial health called organizational review. Your agency will be asked various questions and prompted to upload documents pertaining to your agency's governance and finances. All applications must be submitted in our grant portal called EC Impact. You know you're in the correct portal when you see the United Way of Greater Houston banner and logo at the top of the screen. This is where you will submit your application. Pro tip is for you to create a bookmark for the EC Impact portal. On the screen is the landing page for the EC Impact portal. If you are a new applicant, you will need to set up your agency's profile. Click Create a new EC Impact account button in the New to EC Impact section at the bottom of the landing page. As you create your profile, you must complete several screening questions to ensure your agency meets eligibility for the funding opportunity. If your agency does not meet eligibility for requirements, you will not be able to set up a profile. If you are a returning applicant, you will use your existing login to EC Impact to access the application. Once you've logged into EC Impact, all applicants will need to add the application to their portal by clicking the Add Application button from the left-hand navigation tree. You will then follow the prompts to add the application and identify the program areas that you'd like to apply for funding under. I'll now hand it over to Judi Foster to share about additional resources that we'll have available during the application and investment process. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Hello, my name is Judi Foster, and I'm the director of the United Way Centers. I'd like to share additional resources that will be helpful as you work through the application process. As Amanda mentioned at the beginning of the program, we have scheduled 4 sessions that we are calling technical assistance calls. These calls are for questions you may have regarding the application and funding process. We will have at least 4 staff on hand at each of these sessions. There's no set agenda on our end, so participants should be prepared with their own questions. The session dates and times are as follows. Thursday, February 22nd from 10 to 11 a.m. Wednesday, March 6th from 1 to 2 p.m. Monday, March 18th from 11 to 12 p.m. And Thursday, April 4th from 2 to 3 p.m. We ask that you register for these sessions in advance by going onto our How We Invest page on the United Way website. Our nonprofit connection will be hosting 2 free grant writing sessions. These sessions will not go into the specifics of the actual application, but instead provide a broad overview of general best practices. The sessions are scheduled for Monday, March 11th from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., Wednesday, April 10th from 9 to 10:30 a.m. And again, we ask everyone to pre-register by going to our How We Invest page on our website. United Way's website has many additional resources that will be beneficial for you, including the ALICE data for our 4-county region. You can search by zip code and/or county, the funding announcement, which includes definitions of terms, the slide deck and recording of today's funding conference, the application and link to the EC Impact portal, a fact sheet that will be a live document that will be updated as we receive questions. And you can also find an interactive regional profile dashboard, service definitions, our funded partner standards and policies, as well as a registration link for technical assistance calls and MPC training. Please be sure to encourage staff who will be working on the application to visit this page for all of these helpful resources. After today's conference, or any time throughout this process, you may direct questions to our mission and strategy team by emailing them at mandstrategy@unitedwayhouston.org. This email box is being checked regularly by United Way staff. Responses to the questions posed will be shared for all to review through our single investment process question log. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce the moderator for our panel. Dr. Angel Harris is the Vice President and Chief Advancement Officer at United Way of Greater Houston. With over $500 million raised throughout her career, Angel oversees United Way's development and brand strategies to achieve the community's second century vision. Prior to her current role, she served as the Executive Director of Dress for Success Columbus, an organization that empowers women to achieve economic independence. Angel is a recognized speaker and panelist, advocating for development, marginalized communities, women's empowerment, and hope for a better future. She has received numerous awards for her exceptional leadership and community service. Angel is actively involved in various community positions and mentorship programs, investing in the growth of young leaders. She and her husband, Chris, have a blended family with 7 children.
Thank you, Judi. Hi, everyone. I am so excited to serve as the moderator for today's funding conference. Thank you to those who have already submitted questions to the Q&A box. We want to make sure that you know that United Way staff have been collecting those questions for me, and I encourage y'all to continue to submit questions. We have about 30 minutes for the Q&A panel, and we'll get to as many questions as possible. If you submit a question, do pay close attention to the chat box, as United Way staff have already been answering some of the questions you submitted. Please note that questions related to specific agency programs will be addressed during the technical assistance calls. For example, if you're asking if your after-school program on the west side of town that serves 20 girls could be a good fit, that type of question is better suited during a technical assistance call that the team discussed earlier. Now we're ready to begin. You all have already met our esteemed panelists, Margaret Oser, Lindsey Hill, Jessica Davison, Shauna Harris, and we are so happy to have them here today. So hello, ladies, and welcome back. Nice to see you all. Well, we've got a lot of questions here. I'm going to jump in and get started. So the first question is to Lindsey. Lindsey, will the grant be awarded to individual organizations or collaboratives?
That's a great question. Thank you so much, Dr. Harris. We fund individual organizations, and we understand that collaborations, of course, is one of our funded partner values. And with that being said, we also understand that we can't do this work by ourselves. We have to have a collaboration or partnership with everyone in the community to make sure this work gets done. So what I would say is I would like to encourage any agencies that would like to apply to please apply for this funding, and so that we can all collaborate and help people thrive together.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you.
Moving to our next question. This one is about outcomes. So the question is, and so I'll throw this one to Jessica. What outcomes will United Way have of applicants' report?
Thank you, Angel. That's a great question. So we have a common metric structure that we have our funded partners report under. Those are our outcomes that include indicators and outputs. We will help each partner that we fund during the onboarding period determine what they will be reporting under our common metric structure. You can view our logic model on our website under the How We Invest webpage to see the common metric structure and what we're looking at for each program category.
Perfect. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. And then we had a question about requirements for fundraising. So Margaret, I'll ask you to take this one. Can you speak to the requirement of funded partners to fundraise for the United Way? What does that look like?
Thank you, Angel. So what we ask of our partners is to be great ambassadors of the work that United Way is doing in the community with all of our partners. So we may ask if you would be willing to talk to an employee group during the campaign to talk about the work that's happening across our community. We may ask if you would be willing to run a campaign yourself at your organization, but none of it is mandatory. It is all part of being partners with us and helping us spread the word of the great work that is happening across this community.
Thank you, Margaret. I think that gives a better understanding of that area. Appreciate your feedback. So Lindsey, is there additional funding provided to participate in expected meetings and collaborative activities, or is this something that can be included in the funding request?
So there's no additional funds that will be awarded for that. But I will say, keep in mind, if you are awarded funding, or if your organization is awarded funding, this is something as a potential partner that you would be agreeing to, which means you would have to attend the collaborative meetings, which is also known as our regional agency partner collaborative meetings. So there's no additional request that's needed. When you request funding for these meetings, it's an expectation as a potential partner of United Way that you attend these collaborative meetings so that you can understand best practices and just other available resources and who else is in your region serving the community.
Okay, yeah, there's a lot of good information sharing that takes place at those sessions. So thank you.
Yes.
So Jessica, my next question is around Alice. This question says, I would like a little more detail about determining Alice status. We collect income and we collect the age of our clients, but we do not collect household size. Without collecting household size, only ages of particular members of the family who are served, how do we determine if a family is considered Alice?
Right, another great question. Thank you. In this one, we've learned a lot in the past 2 years of our current process, our current work that we're doing within the integrated client journey.
And so for our funded programs, especially in these 5 areas, what we look at is reporting of the household income and then reporting of those ages. And that gives us a better sense of who's being served from an age perspective and also the income ranges. And so that gives us kind of that sense. And then in our navigation space, that's where we're collecting the more granular information on how many people are in the household, the ages of the household, and then their income at intake as well. And we'll have more information on our reporting again as part of onboarding, but also in some of our documents on the website.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. Margaret, earlier we had a table of services. And so if you could tell us, where would foster care services fit in the table of services in which United Way wants to invest?
That's a great question. So to clarify, United Way does not fund population specific. We fund specific types of programming within the areas of financial stability, early childhood youth development, healthcare, legal services, and basic needs. So if the program you're providing is in any of those categories, it doesn't really matter to us the population you're serving, as long as it's within those program categories and you can be part of the fuller integrated client journey. So those are our requirements. So it's up to you to determine if your programming for the foster youth fit within those program categories.
Okay.
And I would say that goes the same for anybody else who's serving specific populations. Don't be deterred if you don't see a specific population. It's about the type of programming.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. So this question is about navigator funding. Jessica, can you clarify? It says you are not receiving new applicants as a navigator. Can you please explain further?
Yeah. So the team has really spent a lot of time and dedication into supporting the navigation network. We have 20 amazing navigation teams across 15 agencies. And so we do for navigation for this open process, it is by invitation. So those agencies were notified this morning of their invitation. And then we will, as we look to expand our navigation network, that is the moment when we will look to expand our navigation network and invite additional agencies at that time. And so we still are determining all of that right now.
Okay, thank you. This next question is for Shauna. Can you tell us, can a new nonprofit apply for funding?
That's a very good question. It depends on how you define new, Angel. So we are always looking to partner with new organizations that we haven't done so in the past. And so in order to be eligible for this funding, you will need to be in existence for at least 3 years as of today's date. Today is February 15th, 2024. And you need to be in good standing with the Internal Revenue Service. So those things you really need to pay attention to. 3 years as of today's date, and then in good standings with IRS.
Got it. Okay, appreciate that. This next question, Margaret, I'm going to ask for your help on this one to make sure I'm asking it the way that the asker intended. But it says, how is risk level determined?
Okay, I'm assuming the questioner is asking about our risk level assessment when it comes to their financial health and organizational health.
Okay.
And if that's the case, it's looking at all aspects of their financials as well as their board governance to determine their risk level. And a risk level for us is really a determinant on whether or not, if we do decide to invest, do we need to do additional monitoring and support of that organization or not? But it's all based on how financially stable they are and how strong their volunteer governance is.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that interpretation and answer to that question. I appreciate it. I'm going to stick with you for a second as we talk about application review, Margaret. So how does the United Way source people who review the applications that are not United Way staff?
That's a great question. We have a very large volunteer recruitment effort that will be kicking off very soon. And they are recruited and trained to help us review all applications and make determinations about moving on in the process and help us determine our funding. We have several levels of volunteer engagement throughout the process, culminating with our Board of Trustees that reviews and approves all recommendations for funding. But if people are interested in it, please keep an eye out. We will be posting on our website when we start that recruitment process. And we are looking for people all across our community that are representative of everyone in our community. So be on the lookout and sign up if you know people who are interested.
Okay, thank you. Jessica, this next question is about audited tax reports. So can you let us know, will audited tax reports be required even if a nonprofit's budget is less than $500,000?
That's great. Another great question. All the great questions. I love this.
Yeah.
And we have a document on our website that really helps break this down. And I see a couple other questions in the chat about the audit and operating size. Your operating budget is really the factor of that. And so if you go to, again, going to our website and to our approach, how we invest, I know we've shared the link a couple of times. But if your operating budget is under 350,000, we do ask that you submit a compiled financial statement. If you're between 350 and right under that million mark, we do ask you to submit a financial statement review that is conducted by an independent certified public accounting firm. And then if you're over $1 million in your operating budget, that is where we ask for the audit to be submitted that's conducted by the independent certified public accounting firm. There's a lot more information. The document you want to review is organizational review checklist. And so that'll help you kind of see what the guidelines are around that operating budget and what the audit requirement might be, or the compiled financial requirement will be. And then also all the other documents that we do ask. A big factor for United Way is that we are good stewards of the dollars invested to us. And our organizational review process is how we ensure that. And so we do look at your financials, we do look at your governance, because we want to ensure that the dollars that we're giving out to the community are going into organizations that are using those to fulfill their mission and fulfill the services they're doing with communities. And so we like to really be that safeguard as we do our investment.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful. And I know I've gone through some of the questions kind of quick. Is there anything else that anyone wanted to share from some of the prior questions before I move into the next one? Otherwise, I'm ready for my next question. All right. Okay, so Margaret, what is the total amount available for funding to all agencies?
Fantastic question, and I wish I had an answer for you. But we are in our own budget process right now, and we are also in the process of finalizing our fundraising efforts for the year. So we won't have those numbers until late March, early April. So what I would tell you is the minimum amount we plan to invest in folks is $100,000. The maximum any organization can request is $2 million. And just stay within those guidelines. And as we get better clarification on what we'll have to invest overall, we will be communicating that as much as we can.
Okay.
I can tell you, I can share the last investment process, we were able to invest around 30 million and across the entire 4-county region.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And so this next question is about governance. And so Margaret, it says, have a minimum of 3 board members who represent the local community. Could you please confirm if this is a requirement and further unpack it and explain it?
Yes, I can. So yes, it is a requirement. And the reason we ask for that is we are very intentional about ensuring that not only the staff, but those that govern the organization are truly connected to our local community. And so we want to ensure that not only staff, but the board are living and working here in our 4-county region. So it is a requirement for any potential funding.
Okay. And then for those who are unsuccessful, can you share if they will receive feedback on why they weren't selected so that it helps with future funding applications to United Way?
All of us wish we could provide individual feedback, but because of the volume that we will be getting, we cannot do it. What we always try to do is give people tips and tricks that we've seen from past applications and things to consider going forward. but we won't be able to give individual feedback on each application.
Okay. Okay. And just a little bit more clarity on invitations to apply. Can you please provide clarification on if new agencies who have not received previous funding are eligible to apply?
Yes, this is a completely open process. You do not have to wait for an invitation from us showing up today. And if you log in to do an application, we will accept it and review it for funding. So it's open and to anyone who's interested.
Okay. And then is funding available to be used for whatever the greatest need is for an agency or restricted to what's in the application?
So our funding is flexible, but it is geared to what's in our service definitions. So for example, if organization applies for funding under one of our services in financial stability and they're awarded that funding, we will be expecting reporting on those metrics and those projections, but the funding can be used however they need to ensure that program service is delivered. And we are very broad in what that definition is. So there's a flexibility within the funding, but it does need to be supporting the outcomes that you're requesting funding for.
Okay. Got it. And then can we apply for salaries? If we don't have every aspect of the ICJ, but we do have agencies we work with for them, can we apply, Margaret?
So hopefully I'm understanding the question correctly, but yes, you can definitely apply for salaries. We know the majority of the work done in the nonprofit world is done by people, and we need to pay those people. So those are definitely eligible costs. You do not have to be an organization that does everything within the integrated client journey. We're looking for organizations that are really good at what they do within that journey. And so that's what we would be looking for in our application process. And could you read the last part of that question, Angel? I want to make sure.
Yeah, so if we don't have every aspect of the ICJ, but we do have agencies we work with for them, can we apply?
So you don't even have to be worried about other organizations you work with. If it fits in the ICJ, what we're really going to be looking at is your programming and how it aligns with our service categories. And if it does, then it's fine. You don't have to worry about others and additional services.
Okay. So this question again is about the funding range. We talk about that being $100,000 to $2 million is that window. But for example, can someone submit for funding for $80,000 for their organization?
They can. Here's what I would say. There's a reason we set a floor of $100,000 because with our funding, it is very flexible, but we also ask a lot of you. As Lindsey said, one of our requirements is attending all of our collaborative meetings. And depending on the area you're funded in, that could be multiple meetings that we're asking you to be a part of each month. We also do require quarterly reporting. We require regular financial reporting. So we ask a lot of our partners, and we want to make sure that the investment, as some would say, the juice is worth the squeeze for people. So they can apply, but I would just give that caution. I would also say we also look at your overall organizational budget to make sure that we're not putting more of an investment in you than you're already getting across your organization. So we look at that too to make sure it's not something more than you can handle as an organization.
Okay. Okay. And Lindsey, can you clarify if home repairs will be funded? It seems it could fall under basic needs and or financial stability.
So if you look under, well, I'm sorry, let me back up. If you look under our website, we do, under how we invest, we do have a list of those services and what's included, which does not include home repairs. So again, what I would just suggest is please look in our website under how we invest, and you can see a list of our services and the definitions along with that. It will clearly show you what's acceptable, what you can use those funds for. So please visit our website. You can get that information. It's a little bit detailed there. And if there's more questions around that or more clarity needed, I would suggest to please make sure you come to the TA calls, and we'll be sure to try to help you answer that question.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I know we're getting to the end of our time.
Yes.
But let's see here. Let me pull one more question. There's lots of great questions here, and I appreciate everybody submitting questions to the chat. But is there a maximum number of proposals by region, by one agency? For example, could an agency apply for funding in 6 regions?
Yes, you can. An agency can apply for funding in 6 regions. You can apply for funding in all of them. If you have the capacity, you can do that.
Yeah. And I want to veggie back off what Lindsey said, because we see folks are already in the portal, adding programs, adding their applications. So y'all are multitasking. So okay. We're seeing you add programs. You can, just as Lindsey said, you can add, and we do want to make sure that you're labeling the programs as those program categories, that impact area. There are instructions there. You will be hearing from someone from the Learning Analytics and Compliance team. If something is a little amiss with how you've added that program in, please make sure you're clicking the create a new program and assign it to this form packet. You want to do that little plus arrow, that little plus sign right there to get you going. And so, but you'll hear from us if something looks a little awry. If you don't hear from us, that's a good sign. So just wanted to add that in, Angel. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I just want to take a minute to see if there was anything else from the questions that I asked that anyone wanted to add before we move to close.
I did add another one. I'm sorry, because I saw this one coming up and we were trying to answer it. And I know Margaret addressed the floor and the ceiling, but also these are 1-year requests. It is a 3-year funding cycle. We do an annual update, an annual renewal through our service provider agreement, but your application should reflect 1 year of requests. So that could be between 100,000 to 2 million. So please make sure, I just wanted to make sure to answer that verbally. And then you'll see that all over the application as well, too, that it reflects a 1-year request.
Thank you. That's a very important point for everyone to remember as they're submitting applications. So I'm glad we got that one in under the wire. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Well, so remember that there are technical assistance calls scheduled and an email that you can submit questions to. But this concludes today's funding conference. I just want to say thank you to everyone for all of your time. We appreciate everyone who took the time to submit a question. They really benefit all of us. So I just want to say thank you on behalf of our whole team for everything that you do for our community. Have a wonderful afternoon and goodbye.